order. And before I continue, let me acknowledge our let me direct the committee secretary to acknowledge our resource persons for today.
Good morning, Your Honor. For today's public hearing, we have the following resource persons. From the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, we have Mr. Alejandro H. Tenco. From the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority, or CEZA, we have Ms. Katrina Ponce Enrile. From the Philippine Economic Zone Authority, we have Mr. Tereso Opanga and Attorney Jenny June Romero. From Clark Development Corporation, we have Police Major General Lina Sarmiento. From the Authority of Freeport Area of Bataan, we have Mohammed Hussein P. Pangandaman. From the Department of Finance, we have Assistant Secretary Carlo Fermin S. Adriano. From the Bureau of Internal Revenue, we have Attorney Edgar Alan Reyes II. From the Department of Foreign Affairs, we have Director Von Ryan Pangui. From the Bureau of Immigration, we have Commissioner Joe Anthony Viado. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney R.J.A. Bernal. From the Philippine National Police, we have Colonel Randy Y. Arceo, Colonel Villamor Tuliao, Colonel David Poklay. From the National Bureau of Investigation, we have Attorney Van Homer Angluben. From the Law Office of Gaspar, Caneba, and Franco, we have Attorney Michael A. Gaspar. From Avantis Corporation, we have Attorney Lori Lee Margaret Granado. From Caspo Incorporated, we have Attorney Georgia Pangan. And from First Orient International Ventures Corporation, we have Attorney Mara Ricalde. That will be all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Comsec. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us in today's hearing. And this is the second hearing on this topic. We have 4 bills to consider today. First one is Senate Bill number 63, entitled An Act Prohibiting Online Gambling, Penalizing the Placing of Wagers or Bets through the Internet or any form of online gambling activities and for other purposes, authored by Senator Cayetano. Next is Senate Bill number 1281, an act prohibiting online gambling and placing of wagers or bets through the internet or any form of online gambling activities, providing penalties therefore and for other purposes, authored by Senator Joel Villanueva. Next will be Senate Bill number 2689, an act repealing for the purpose Republic Act number 11,591, otherwise known as an act taxing Philippine offshore gaming operations and for other purposes, authored by yours truly. And lastly, which was referred to us, and I thank Senator Mark Villar for transferring this bill to us because we have already started hearing the other 3 bills that I mentioned earlier. And this is Senate Bill number 2752, an act banning Philippine offshore gaming operations, or POGO, as we all know it, and other operations related thereto and for other purposes. So this is the new transfer to this committee so that we can come up with a unified committee report tackling online gaming. And last time we discussed the different technicalities of online gaming. As I understand it from PAGCOR and also from our resource persons, there are 2 forms of online gaming. One, to put it simply, one taking bets domestically from local sources, and one taking bets from offshore or international bets. POGOs, as we all know it, takes bets from outside of the Philippines, particularly largely from China. And the president has already ruled that all forms of POGO will be banned. So it goes without saying that this committee will pursue the legislative track of banning POGOs and the taxation that gave the taxation regime to POGOs. The bill calls for online gaming. No? So the other track that we are taking will be the banning of Pogo in line with the presidential directive during the SONA. So we will be entering into a technical working group to discuss that bill that will completely ban Pogos and the taxation that is connected to Pogo. The other aspect of this bill, and this is part of the bill that was filed by Senator Cayetano and Senator Villanueva, is to ban online gaming, and that includes taking bets from domestic or from local sources. And this is what we want to discuss today. Last time we had a broad discussion on the concepts. We requested PAGCOR to supply us with information, and we thank PAGCOR for giving us information. We also requested the BIR to give us also information so that we can complete our analysis. What we have done in the Pogos, we conducted a cost-benefit analysis, and we thank DOF for helping us with that analysis. So in the discussion on online gaming, particularly e-games, I think the local term for the local taking of bets is called e-games. So in the discussion of e-games, we want to also understand the cost and benefit to the country, the revenues that it's generating both to PAGCOR and also to the BIR, and also the attendant or the peripheral business that it generates for the country. And we've already made some preliminary analysis based on the submissions of PAGCOR, and we will discuss that today. But we are also fortunate that we're also joined by other stakeholders, particularly some of the economic zones that are also engaged in gaming or other forms of support to gaming, and we invited them today to also share with us their thoughts on the four bills that are for consideration today, and to give us their suggestions and their comments on those bills. So we'll start off with, I know that some of our resource persons requested to give their comments ahead, and I think Administrator Katrina Ponce Enrile signified that if she may go ahead to give their comments. We'll start off with that. We invited some of the eco zones to give their comments, so we'll start off with that, and then later on we'll drill down into the data and the statistics that were given to us by PAGCOR and BIR. So we'll start off with comments from Administrator Katrina Ponce Enrile of CESA on the measures.
Good morning, everyone. We would like to thank the Senate Committee on Ways and Means, the Committee on Labor, Employment and Human Resources Development, and the Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs for inviting the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority as one of the resource speakers in today's hearing. Cagayan Economic Zone Authority fully supports the government on its determination and commitment through its enormous efforts to eliminate criminalities brought by the Philippine offshore gaming operations, or POGOs, in the country. Further, we agreed to the total banning of offshore gaming operations that were licensed by the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, or PAGCOR, and other offshore gaming operations of the same nature. However, we propose that the power and authority of CESA to issue interactive gaming licenses be retained. CESA's interactive gaming operations is very different from the Philippine offshore gaming operation of PAGCOR. The following are the significant differences of CESA from PAGCOR's operations, to wit: number one, basis for authority. CESA's iGaming jurisdiction and authority comes from Republic Act 7922, whereas PAGCOR's POGO authority came from Executive Order number 13, series of 2017. CESA, under its charter, has been given the authority to accept, accredit, and allow enterprises organized or domiciled in the Philippines or any foreign country. It is also given the authority to issue licenses on games and amusements. PAGCOR's charter, on the other hand, does not include operations outside the jurisdiction of the Republic of the Philippines. PAGCOR's charter and authority is territorial to the country. CESA is purely regulatory. PAGCOR regulates and operates at the same time. It is focused on licensing and regulations, so it is not conflicted in its vision, operations, and business model. Number 2, framework. CESA's framework is based on a service provider relationship between the Philippine Securities and Exchange Commission registered service company and the CESA licensed foreign iGaming company. We do not accept bets. We only provide content, technology, and IT support. PAGCOR's POGOs accepts and process bets in the country. Unlike PAGCOR, CESA does not allow sub-licensing. It is one company and one license setup. POGO's sub-licensing model has paved the way for the proliferation of the fly-by-night and scam operators. PAGCOR can no longer track how deep the sub-licensees go. PAGCOR's POGOs and service providers practically operate wherever they want in the Philippines. Instead of being secured within the confines of a jurisdiction like the Cagayan Economic Zone and Freeport, PAGCOR has allowed the proliferation of POGOs literally everywhere. Number 3, well-defined borders of operation. PAGCOR uses Globe, PLDT Smart, and Converge for their internet usage, which has traffic coming in and out of the country. CESA, on the other hand, has its own internet service provider, which is limited to outbound traffic only. Working visas. PAGCOR has thousands of Chinese and other foreign nationals. We only have 153 expatriates inside our zone. Number 4, workforce. Local talents are prioritized, and CESA requires its locator to maintain a 70 to 30% employment ratio in favor of Filipino citizens. In contrast, tens of thousands of foreign workers are employed by POGOs. Since there is no control in the issuance of visas, and POGOs are located everywhere, the ratio of Filipino to expats cannot be ascertained. 5, track record. For more than 20 years that CESA has been regulating and licensing iGaming, it never had instances of kidnapping, human trafficking, torture, scams, and murder. Within 7 years of operationalizing POGO, the industry that PAGCOR has created through EO13 has created so much backlash that it has now reached the halls of the Senate and Congress. Number 6, Anti-Money Laundering Council compliance. CESA has been cleared by AMLC as compliant to its provisions. This can be attributed to the strict monitoring of its operations, including educating all its locators regarding the anti-money laundering rules and regulations. PAGCOR continues to have compliance challenges with the AMLC. Just a brief background, historical background, so to better understand. In order for this august body to fully understand how POGOs came to life, allow me to provide a brief historical background on the internet gaming industry in the country. The interactive gaming industry started in CESA in 2003. During those times, the gaming industry was very peaceful and orderly. Everybody knew everybody, and we were actually taking as a gaming jurisdiction very seriously. In 2005, considering the minimal infrastructure and facilities inside the zone, CESA was constrained to enter into a memorandum of agreement with PAGCOR that would enable CESA's interactive gaming support service providers to operate outside the Cagayan Freeport. In 2007, OGCC Opinion Number 241 series of 2007 confirmed CESA's authority to allow interactive gaming support service providers to operate outside the Cagayan Freeport. CESA continued with the interactive gaming support service operations in PESA IT registered buildings such as RCBC, PBCom Tower, Burgundy Corporate Tower, Marvin Plaza, and the Enterprise Center, among others. In 2011, CESA entered into another memorandum of agreement with the new PAGCOR. However, the MOA was not implemented because PAGCOR wanted CESA's interactive gaming support service providers to accept bets from the Philippine territory, but CESA refused to accede to PAGCOR. In 2013, PAGCOR got an idea of starting an operation similar to that of CESA. It was in the same year when PAGCOR and Prime Investment Korea, or PIKI, had entered into an agreement allowing the operation of gaming tables equipped with high-definition cameras, voice-over internet protocol facilities, and other internet data facilities in Midas Hotel. Later on, the operation spread to Soler, City of Dreams, Resorts World, and then Okada. In 2017, former President Duterte issued Executive Order Number 13, mandating all gaming and gaming-related activities to operate inside the territorial jurisdiction of the authority that issued the license. In compliance with EO 13, all CESA interactive gaming support service providers were allowed to operate in specific areas in Manila were directed to relocate back to Cagayan Freeport. It was also EO 13 which gave life to PAGCOR's POGOs, as it was during the same year when PAGCOR officially institutionalized the term POGO. PAGCOR has done so much iterations and mutations from the original concept of CESA's interactive gaming license. It actually transformed it into something else that was not anymore reflective of what was being done within CESA. A massive exodus of licensees and interactive gaming support service providers left CESA's jurisdiction to PAGCOR's jurisdiction, which started to happen during the time of President Benigno Aquino III and exponentially grew during the time of President Rodrigo Duterte's term. From CESA's 300 interactive gaming support service providers and IG licensees, CESA was down to approximately 30. In 2018, criminality involving POGO started to occur. This was confirmed by former PAGCOR Chair Andrea Domingo during the Senate hearing last July 29, 2024. In the committee chaired by Senator Ontiveros, Such criminality likely occurred due to the absence of the fundamental regulatory conditions of PAGCOR when it started to regulate offshore gaming. As admitted by former Chair Domingo, they were still studying how to regulate online gaming when they already launched POGO, which was a flawed replica of CESA's iGaming structure. The question that was begging to be answered is, why did Chairman Andrea Domingo authorize the operations of POGOs when they were still studying how to operationalize it? Now, our country is facing menacing criminalities attributed to the operations of POGOs. These crimes, mind you, happening outside the jurisdiction of CESA is clearly a result of failure, if not total breakdown of regulation. CESA's position. Thus, it is our position that interactive gaming operations may still be permitted provided that, number one, it will be highly regulated by government agencies like CESA with sufficient experience in the interactive gaming industry. Number two, rigorous monitoring of online activities will be done using advanced cybercrime prevention technologies as done in other countries with significant investments in digital technology. And number three, the operations are confined in a secured and well-defined border like CESA for effective management and monitoring. In view of the foregoing, we seek the exemption and total exclusion of the Cagayan Economic Zone Authority in the coverage of the following sections of the proposed bills, to wit, number 1, Section 5 of Senate Bill number 63, number 2, Section 5 of Senate Bill number 1281, number 3, Section 2 of Senate Bill number 2689, number 4, Section 3 of Senate Bill number 2752. CESA has been steadfast in its commitment to provide a sound regulatory framework anchored on fairness, honesty, transparency, integrity, and responsible conduct of interactive gaming to enhance the integrity of the industry and provide protection to players, investors, and most especially the local community. We thank the honorable chairpersons for the Senate Committee for giving us the opportunity to present our position on the above-mentioned Senate bills. We hope that the committees under your leadership will consider and appreciate the points raised, especially on the difference of CESA's interactive gaming operations from PAGCOR's Philippine Offshore Gaming Operations, and we will send a position paper to your good office, Senator Gatchalian, after this.
Thank you, Administrator Katrina. I'll finish all the IPAs who are here with us so that we can just field questions to all the IPAs at the same time. We call on PEZA, represented by Attorney Romero. Any comments?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Your Honors. Thank you for inviting PEZA and giving PEZA the opportunity to comment on Senate Bills 63, 2752, 2689, and 1281. PEZA expresses its full support and commends the laudable intention and purpose of the Senate bills to ban POGOs, as the adverse effects to the country and the national economy far outweigh the benefits that can be derived from their continuous existence or operations in the country. Further, the objectives of the subject bills are aligned with the long-standing policy of PEZA not to register online gaming or gambling operations. To this end, PEZA fully supports and will fully cooperate with all initiatives of the government aimed at bringing into fruition the directive of the President to completely ban all POGO operations in the country. We take this opportune time, Your Honor, to clarify certain information and to submit accurate information on PEZA with respect to POGOs. PEZA does not register POGOs. Online gaming or gambling or any gaming operation is not a registrable activity under the PEZA law, and hence it is not entitled to PEZA. It is not entitled to incentives under the PEZA rules. PEZA has not registered a single POGO project or activity. PEZA's mandate under its charter, that is Republic Act 7916 as amended by 8748, does not give PEZA the authority or power to issue a license to operate gambling casinos or undertake online gaming or gambling inside and more so outside the economic zones owned and or administered by PEZA. It has long been the standing policy or honor of PEZA not to register online gaming, gambling, or gaming operations in recognition and deference to the regulatory supervision and the mandate of PAGCOR. We also want to mention, Your Honor, that as of now, PEZA has 4,380 registered business enterprises operating nationwide. And of these 4,380 RBEs, 35.55% of which account for our IT, information technology, business process management companies, some of which are even included in the top Fortune 500 companies, which goes to show that all of these are legitimate investors. And these companies, they generate total of 986,550 direct employment, or 57.60 share from the total RBE's generated employment of 1,712,653, and this data is as of June 30, 2024. We also wish to assure this honorable committee, honorable chair, that these PEZA registered IT BPMs are very legitimate investors. As I said, they're included in the top Fortune 500 companies, and they are not into online gaming or gambling. In fact, this prohibition, Your Honor, is expressly so stated in the registration agreement that they signed with PEZA. We also implement safety measures to see to it that these companies really strictly comply with this requirement. We also want to clarify and mention or to correct the common misconception, Your Honor, that all economic zones are under the supervision of PEZA. There are 14, and in other papers we see 19 IPAs, and all of these IPAs, they operate under their own separate charters, under their own authorities. PEZA is just but one of these IPAs, although, well, I could say that it is the biggest and the largest IPA. The economic zones administered by these other IPAs are beyond and outside PEZA's authority and jurisdiction. Finally, Your Honor, in behalf of our Director General, who could not be here now because of a prior engagement and an equally important engagement, he wishes to relay to this honorable committee that PEZA fully supports the government's thrust to eradicate POGOs, and PEZA will assist in the process of providing training and employment to all displaced Filipino workers as a result of the eradication or closing of all these POGOs in the country. Thank you for the opportunity, Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney Romero. We call on CDC, represented by Retired General Sarmiento.
Thank you very much, Your Honor, for inviting CDC in today's hearing. We already have a position paper, but I would just like to highlight some of the salient features of our position paper. We would like to share to this committee the experience of Clark in the POGO operations. So as of May 3, 2024, there were 5 POGO recognized and duly registered with CDC. But as of the moment, there is only one remaining POGO inside Clark, and that is Onyotech, with 3 foreign nationals and 150 Filipino workers. But I would just like to highlight the economic contribution of POGOs to Clark Development Corporation. First, on the visa application fee, CDC being the investment promotion agency vested with the authority to issue endorsements to the Bureau of Immigration for the issuance of working permits to foreign nationals, a fee is imposed on the processing of these applications. In 2020, this revenue stream was at its peak with an annual amount of 74,935,320, which accounted for almost 3% of CDC's total revenue stream for that year. And then for the sublease share of CDC from the rent, CDC collects a percentage of gross rental revenue generated from these transactions. The highest annual revenue for the year 2022 at 5,389,569 is less than 0.2% of CDC's total revenue for the year 2022. And processing fees also, we get processing fees for certificates and permits. These include permits to operate, certificates of tax exemption, and letters of no objection for PAGCOR processing. So at its peak, the aggregate total of all these contributions from 2019 until 2022 amount to 198,235,034 pesos. And notably, this amount only consists of a mere 2% of the total revenues of CDC based on the audited financial statements of the corporation as audited by the Commission on Audit. Now, the social expense to Clark. Unfortunately, because of the presence of many foreign nationals inside CDC, there is a proliferation of crimes such as prostitution, kidnapping, and human trafficking. So there are some incidents which we have highlighted in our position paper. And from these incidents, we can see that the effects of these crimes affects the reputation of Clark. and hence the social expense far outweighs the economic gains that the government may derive from these businesses. Thus, given the proliferation of these incidents in relation to the existence of POGOs within Clark Freeport Zone, on June 8, 2023, the CDC Board of Directors issued a suspension of the processing and acceptance of applications of POGOs and business process outsourcing service providers. So, as of now, as I have said earlier, there is only one remaining POGO operating in Clark, and immediately after the instruction of the President to ban POGOs, we already sent a letter to the operator that we told them that the approval of the sublease agreement as well as its authority to operate shall remain valid only until December 31, 2024. And to ensure a smooth transition and orderly cessation of business operations, the operator was directed to coordinate with CDC for the satisfaction of certain clearance requirements, which includes, number one, employees' separation pays, inclusive of applicable benefits and entitlements under the Labor Code of the Philippines. Number two, settlement of all outstanding and resulting fees and charges to CDC. Number three, downgrading of the working visas issued to foreign nationals. And number four, liquidation of importation, bring in egress of tangible and movable assets if applicable. And last, securing a BIR tax clearances from utility companies and other documentations as may be applicable. Finally, Your Honor, on behalf of our President, who unfortunately cannot attend today's hearing, CDC expresses its full support to the administration's fight against all forms of illegal activity and supports all the bills that is the subject of the hearing today. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you for that. And lastly, from the IPAs, will be AFAB. Any comments, sir?
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, fellow workers in government, honorable members of this committee. I am Hussein Pangandaman, Administrator and CEO of AFAB. In relation to the Senate Bills number 63, 2752 and 1281 for Anti-Gambling Act, and Senate Bill 2689 for an act repealing 11590. We, before the pronouncement of our honorable President last SONA on the complete ban of POGO in the country, we already submitted our position paper, Mr. Chair. And upon receiving the invitation just yesterday, I would like to update our position paper on the matter, and we are respectfully requesting, Mr. Chairman, that we submit it on Monday. But regardless, I would like to read some salient points of our position paper, Mr. Chairman, if I may. The AFAB supports the initiative and intent of the proponents of the bills insofar as they seek to preserve the moral fiber of the society and to prevent the disintegration of our values as people. The AFAB likewise shares the proponents' goal of guarding through future generations against the harms and risks that accompany unregulated and unsupervised online gambling and other sinful activities. Similarly, the AFAB joins with the proponents' fight against human trafficking, online scams, and other human rights abuses caused by illegal operations under the guise of legitimate offshore gaming operators. Nevertheless, as this committee requested the AFAB's official position on the proposed measures inasmuch as they would affect the operations and ultimately their mandates. This position paper is hereby submitted with the end in view of having the committee consider the same in further crafting the bill, as well as in providing well-sounded remedies and measures to address the current concern. The AFAB is of the view that evil sought to be eliminated by these bills will not cease to exist just by altogether prohibiting and declaring illegal online gambling and its similar acts and offshore gaming operations. With due deference to the proponents, this bill should not be a means to justify the lack of strong regulatory oversight of the government and its concerned agencies over these industries, their operations and components. As an investment promotion agency, the AFAB under its charter is mandated to attract foreign direct investments which aim to generate employment and spur domestic economic growth. The success of the AFAB as an IPA relies on investments, either foreign or domestic. Its capacity was further reinforced with the passage of RA 11453, thereby amending certain provisions of Republic Act 9728 and strengthening the powers and functions of the AFAB. Section 13 of Republic Act 9728 as amended provides that the AFAB, among others, has the power to operate on its own, either directly or through a license, other tourism-related activities, including games, amusements, recreational and sports facilities, subject to the approval and supervision of the Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation or PAGCOR. Corollary thereto, the AFAB, under its implementing rules and regulations, may operate games, sports betting, exchange betting, peer-to-peer gaming, esports, digit games, live streaming games, amusements, gambling casinos, horse racing, recreational and sports facilities subject to the approval of the PAGCOR. On the other hand, games, recreational, amusements, and sports activities and facilities that are not covered under the PAGCOR Charter under Presidential Decree 1869 as amended are under the AFAB's jurisdiction. Online gambling is an encompassing term which will cover any and all gambling activities made which involves the use of the internet. Hence, it cannot all be declared illegal. It is along these precepts that the AFAB suggests a proper distinction and further clarification of online gambling, what may be allowed and regulated, and what should be banned and declined. To place it in proper context, weteng and high-alay are forms of gambling which were declared illegal, but not horse racing and casino gambling, which are also forms of gambling, to name a few. Online gambling in specific forms can be regulated and declared illegal without eradicating relevant government agencies of their jurisdiction over these activities. Unlike inland-based casinos, Filipino citizens are strictly not allowed to bet or participate in online interactive gaming activities that are being licensed by special economic and free port zones, which is also known as offshore gaming operations. Corresponding sanctions and penalties are being imposed upon the licenses and any other person responsible for any violation of the rules. There is therefore no social cost that is attributable to offshore gaming operations. They only arise when attended by external factors beyond the control of gaming operators or accredited service providers, such as those related to the failure of handling of the peace and order situation. Be it as it may, the AFAB maintains its position and reiterates its earlier manifestations in similar hearings and inquiries that while the AFAB is allowed under its amended charter to operate and license games, amusements, recreational and sports facilities similar to the special economic and Freeport zones. POGO operators have not yet reached the AFAB and its expansion areas. Neither did AFAB issue registration or license to any enterprise engaged in such activity as defined under Republic Act 11590. As regards to the service provider defined under Section 27 of the National Internal Revenue Code as amended by RA 11590, the AFAB has sub-service providers which are registered as FAB enterprises and licensed as such. These service providers are engaged in business process outsourcing, information technology, or also known as BPO ITs, activity, and cater to offshore clients which operations are located abroad and not locally through a service agreement for operational and technical support services. By the average, foreign workers represent only 5.7% of the total workforce of these so-called BPOs within the jurisdiction of our Freeport zone. An estimate of around 107 foreigners and 1,697 Filipinos. All are locally hired and all from the province of Bataan. These are locals, Mr. Chairman. And this notwithstanding, the AFAB is firm in its commitment in not allowing the FAB and its expansion areas to be a hub for illegal POGO, nor it will cater to such activities. As of this date, there has not been any known or reported incident of criminality related to the activities of the BPO ITs within our Freeport. And by the way, Mr. Chairman, as administrator of AFAB, been conducting periodic inspections. We, together with the local government, the NBI, and the Philippine National Police. In fact, just recently, last June or July, I was with the governor of Bataan. Upon receiving the request from DILG to certify that Bataan is POGO-free, so we conducted inspections in these BPOs within our Freeport, Mr. Chair. And we're proud to announce that there is no trace of POGO or other operations related to gaming or online gaming, Mr. Chair. And at any rate, offshore gaming operations may use emerging technologies which industry and or activity may be registrable in the FAB. These possibilities and other alternatives to regulate gambling activities to make it advantageous to the government through revenue regulation will not come to fruition through a law declaring these activities and operations illegal. However, while the AFAB supports the initiative and intent of the committee insofar as it seeks to address economic and social issues related to POGO, it is submitted that stricter gaming regulatory policies should be in place and sternly implemented not only by the PAGCOR as the lead agency, but by other regulatory agencies like the Department of Labor and Employment, Bureau of Immigration, Department of Justice, the Philippine National Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, including Special Economic Zone Authorities or Freeport authorities to complement the declared policies of Republic Act 11590. Rather than completely banning these activities and operations that may have potential benefits and create direct impact to the economy. As a regulatory body within its territorial jurisdiction, the AFAB and other similarly situated special economic zones are guaranteed the right to be autonomous or to be self-reliant and self-sustaining. It is worth emphasizing that the FAB was created to be developed into and operated as a decentralized, self-reliant, and self-sustaining industrial, commercial trading, agro-industrial, tourist, banking, and financial and investment, and information and communication technology center. The AFAB may cater to this kind of activities by placing safeguards through policy formation and other issuances to proper regulate the same as it may see fit. The AFAB may also allow or limit forms of online gambling and or offshore gaming operations depending on its discretion and its capacity to regulate any and all kinds of online offshore gambling with the bounds of the law and limited to its territorial jurisdiction. Lastly, assuming that AFAB has duly licensed IGLs operating with the area of jurisdiction, the AFAB has the capacity and resources to monitor, supervise, and guard their activities, taking into consideration the strict security force that we have, coupled with our close and constant coordination with the local police force and other national agencies already stationed within the zone, which should ensure that the instances and criminality that have marred the operations of POGOs in other parts of the country may not possibly occur. Like PAGCOR, we may have been able to collect additional income for the national government. In view of the foregoing, the AFAB shares the sentiment of the proponents that online gambling and offshore gaming operations should not be a vessel for the destruction of the nation's moral fabric, abuse, injustice, and all other socio-economic problems. As previously mentioned, locals or Filipino citizens are not allowed to participate in online gambling that is only caters those situated outside of its jurisdiction. It is therefore respectfully submitted that the proponents be circumspect in crafting the necessary legislation in view of the above comments and recommendations which are submitted for this joint committee's consideration. Respectfully submitting it, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat.
Thank you for that comment. After hearing the comments of our IPAs, I have a question. I was actually looking at the list of resource persons, and I was asking my staff if we had invited someone from the Office of the President, but the closest person to the Office of the President is PAOK, Secretary Yusek Gilbert Cruz. So I want to ask if the executive order to operationalize the pronouncement of the President to ban POGOs have been promulgated already. As I understand it, the process will be based on news reports and also from the hearings. I also heard the chairman of PAGCOR mention that an executive order is forthcoming. May I ask PAOK if the executive order has been released or will be released, and when will it be released?
The executive order, Mr. Chair, will be released probably in 2 weeks' time. I've seen the draft, and I think in 2 weeks' time.
Is it possible to ask what are the broad concepts inside the executive order? Considering that we are also talking about banning online gaming to include offshore and domestic betting activities. Meron na bang mga broad concepts, for example, definitions, things like that?
Actually,
Are you
sir,
at liberty to discuss that, Yusek?
not yet, sir. Pero I can say, sir, doon lang po, sir, nagkakaproblema as to the paano yung magiging implementation. But the definition of terms is already there, sir. What's commonly being used here, sir, is already there. Yung nakikita ko na lang, sir, na pinag-uusapan talaga is the concept of the operation and how it will be disseminated, sir.
I don't know if you're at liberty also to say this, because there's quite a confusion on the ground, no? What encompasses POGOs, no? I think we all understand the POGOs that we read in the news, wherein yung mga nare-read nyo, no? Yung mga nare-read nyo. And a lot of these companies, they thrive on getting bets from China, but behind it also they operate scamming activities and other activities, no? But the front is offshore gaming company getting bets from China. But there's now from all the hearings that are being conducted here in the Senate, there's an entity now arising, but it's also showing confusion, and this is the service providers, no? I think PAGCOR, under the PAGCOR regulation, it's called special class BPOs, no? And from what I understand, and we're still doing due diligence, is this type of BPOs, no, do not get bets, but only provide services to gaming companies outside of the Philippines, from what I understand. I'm not sure if they also provide services within the Philippines, no? Again, I don't know if you're at liberty to say this, but are those part of the POGO banning in your knowledge? If you don't know yet, then okay lang to say no, because that's also we will just wait for the executive order to come out, no? But if you are at liberty or knowledgeable whether those type of entities will be included in the ban, we would like to know if they're also banned.
Sir, I think after the drafting, of the executive order, we'll be calling for a technical working group, and that's to include the PAGCOR and other agencies involved, sir. Just to make sure everything na kailangan dun sa executive order will be touched. Like yung sinabi niyo po, sir, I think that will be sa shop po, sir, ng PAGCOR yan. So the technical working group na patatawag po before the final draft will be released.
Okay. And then do you also know, again, no, whether you're liberty or not? You can decline to answer. How about the what we call e-gaming, the ones that are taking bets domestically? Are those included in the ban?
Again, sir, that will be part of the discussion with the PAGCOR, perhaps, sir, during
all right. Okay.
the TW.
Okay, not to preempt the executive order, but so the timetable, but definitely the timetable will be in the next 2 weeks. We'll just take note of the discussions here, Yusek, because kayo yung pinakamalapit to the palace, no? That's why we figured that you are the best person to give us some updates on the executive order. And I believe that the executive order will lay down the details on the complete banning of POGOs, no? Chairman, do you have any comments to that executive order? Meron ba kayong knowledge about that executive order, or it's also the same with Yusek Cruz?
Morning, Mr. Chairman. As far as we are concerned in PAGCOR, yung pong executive order will be really referring to the POGOs/IGLs. I had made this clear in hearings here in Congress, previous hearings here in Congress, and here in the Senate and in Congress, that what I am very sure of is that yung po kasing POGOs hindi na po namin sakop because these are already non-licensees, as we had canceled their licenses in as early as 2023, no? But what I want to make clear here, ang definitely pong makakasama is even the legal internet gaming licenses that we had renewed, 41 of them in if I'm not mistaken, the third quarter of year 2023. So definitely po kasama.
Itong bagong not bago no, but itong parang lumabas na special class PPOs, will they be included?
That I do not want to preempt.
Okay. Yeah, because that's
the process on the executive order. And I believe, Chairman, that is part of the discussions in the other committee headed by Senator Villar. In fact, I had been informed late last night that there will be a visit in, I think, 3 of these special class BPOs. And members of the Committee of Games here in the Senate will be part of the group that will visit, so that we are all able to understand better what really or what truly these SCBPOs are doing. Earlier, it was mentioned that here in AFAB that they also have these companies servicing the needs of gaming companies as far as Brazil, I could remember being mentioned, and India and Europe, no? And it was also emphasized here by the AFAB administrator that the companies that are operating in the AFAB area does not also take bets, but rather just service the backroom operations of the said companies. I think that is the same with CESA, as mentioned by Secretary Enrile earlier, and it also goes for the SCBPOs that under my administration in PAGCOR, we have given close to about 16 licenses, 14 to 16 licenses. And truth and in fact, Mr. Chairman, there are now more companies applying, but we have suspended the processing of the said applications primarily because we want to make clear as to what will be part of the executive order that, according to Yusek Cruz, will be issued in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Chairman, for that. So let's be clear about the fundamental difference between POGOs / online gaming versus special class BPOs / service providers. Just for the information of everyone who is interested in this topic, the special class BPOs / service providers do not accept bets.
Yes, you're right, Mr. Chairman. They do not accept any form of bets. Their main the main thing that they do is serve as backroom operations of big gaming, legitimate and big gaming companies based all over the world. And one of the requirements we have set in the application process is for these companies to submit to PAGCOR the copies of their contracts with the said companies they are servicing based outside the Philippines. So, I wish to for everyone to take note also in your question whether they service Philippine-based. I would like to say that they do not. What we have been licensing in the last 2 years, Mr. Chairman, are companies that service overseas gaming companies. And most, if not all, our present licensees service land-based operators coming from the different parts of the world.
For that, I can see Administrator Katrina nodding her head. Is it the same in CESA? This You mentioned earlier that you CESA is a host to interactive gaming service support providers. Are those the same as special class BPOs? In a sense,
More or less, we just give content, technical support, and IT support.
there's no
No,
betting.
no bets at all because we don't have inbound. Our ISP is only outbound. We block any inbound traffic. That is the difference between Pagcor and us because Pagcor uses Smart, Globe. We have our own internet service provider. So everything is just outbound. So we also know because of the bandwidth, what's happening to each and every locator that's there.
Employees, how many people are working in that interactive gaming
2,800.
2,800? And how do you monitor if they're not getting bets? Because andun na yung, I would assume everything is there except the bets.
But they're not because everything is just outbound. Nothing
Outbound,
comes
okay.
in.
So that is the
We block. We have
that's the
geofencing.
safeguard.
We have we geofence, and we can block IP addresses because we own our own internet service provider within the zone. Yun ang kaibahan po namin sa iba.
Hmm.
They use commercial like Globe, PLDT Smart, Converge, or whatever. We have our own ISP provider.
And is it the same with AFAB? I heard earlier that AFAB is also a host to service providers. Tama ba? heard
Yes,
it
Mr.
correctly?
Chairman.
How many service providers are? There's no POGOs, no?
No, none,
Wala
Mr.
ring
Chairman.
e-gaming.
Wala po.
So also service providers.
Service
And how
provider.
many service providers
They
are
have been
there?
there since they started setting up since year 2016. So when I was appointed last year, nadyan na po sila.
How many are there?
Around
How many service-
1,700 plus.
Service providers?
No, sorry. Service providers po, we only have two.
Two.
Three.
Three service providers,
Yes.
but they employ how many?
Yung isa po, they employ 1,700 plus
Just one?
Filipino.
All
Filipinos.
three.
Yes,
All
Your
three.
Honor. Yes, all three combined. And all Filipinos, Bataeños po, locals. And most of the foreigners, no, are the visas that we issued are more on Brazilians, Indians, Europeans. Wala hong Chinese na contract. So mostly from Southern America and India and UK ang
Contracts.
yes ang
Okay.
operations.
All right.
Yes.
So they service these gaming companies
Yes.
in
Yes, they serve as tech support from front end to back end operations of the so-called gaming operations register abroad. Because one of these companies, I think, is into game designing or design of gaming platforms. So they act as a tech support for the so-called gaming platforms.
Okay. Thank you for that. And the Committee on Games is actually in the midst of studying the special class BPOs, and I confirm the statement of Chairman Tenko that there's an undertaking now by the Committee on Games to study this very carefully because after the pronouncement of the President, this special class BPOs / service providers came about, no? Even though they've been there since 2016 and even earlier. But the Committee on Games is now studying that very carefully. And hopefully it can also make recommendations as to how to package or how to present the special class BPO in relation to the POGOs and online gaming. Yes, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, one very important facet that we have to note is that the ratio of Filipino versus foreign workers. Doon po sa doon po sa Pogo, as I had mentioned in previous hearings, no, it is a 1-to-1 ratio today. Used to be more foreigners, foreign workers on a ratio of 2 out of 3. But today it's 1:1. Dito po sa isasara nating mga Pogo. Dito po sa BPOs, sa SC BPOs, 95% po nito. Requirement po ng guidelines ng PAGCOR. Kailangan po manggagawang Filipino or Filipino workers. So, yun po ang malaking pagkakaiba ng Pogo dito po sa SCBPO. Dahilan nga sa wala pong mga banyagang manggagawa halos dito. Ang totoo po, yung foreign workers dito mostly, Mr. Chairman, ay mga supervisors or managers. Pero yung pong, or translators, ano po. Pero yung pong manggagawa, yung mismong call center agents, 99% po nun Filipino. 98 to 99. And then, bumababa na lang po yung average dahil nga sa meron silang mga supervisors, translators, or di kaya naman mga high-ranking officers sa kumpanya na banyaga o foreigners. So, I think that is the big difference. Dahil dito po naman sa Pogo o sa IGL, IGL/Pogo, ang call center agents po doon, nakararami po ay foreigners because they're the ones accepting the calls or the bets being placed from outside the Philippines. So, if you mentioned earlier the China market, then wala pong duda't walang question na ang kailangan pong sumagot nung telepono or ng tawag ay isang Chinese national. Dahil hindi naman po nakakaalam ang karamihan ng mga Pilipino na makapagsalita or makaintindi ng wikang Banyaga or Chinese language. So I just thought it would be good to emphasize that isa po yun sa dapat na mabigyan ng konsiderasyon. Yung nakalalamang po at 95% po ang requirement. Kaya meron po kasing pagbabahala na many thought that those who are in the IGL Pogo business will move to the SCBPO. Hindi po talaga maaaring maganap yun dahil yung nga pong ratio ng foreigner at Filipino hindi po magtutugma. If you're talking of just talking of a number, we're talking of about 100,000 foreign nationals. Then, following the ratio of 95% Filipino and 5% foreigners, then you'll have to have hundreds of thousands of Filipinos there. These people who will attempt and which I mean this early I will say PAGCOR will not allow, but I think that is a very major consideration in this SCBPO license arrangement with PAGCOR, and I believe as mentioned by Secretary Enrile and Administrator Pangandaman earlier, nakararami po talaga Pilipino. Yun lang po, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, based on the data you submitted to us, tama ba? 83,000?
Hindi po.
How many are working in special class BPOs?
5 lang po.
5,000.
5,000
Okay.
lang po. A total of 5,038 as of August 31. As of August 31, Mr. Chairman, there are 4,000, close to 5,000 Filipinos, 4,901, and you have 137 foreign nationals of different nationalities. So we have a total of about 5,100 more or less, Mr. Chairman.
So for if PAGCOR has 5,000 and then the CESA has 2,008 and then AFAB has 1,700. So more or less about 10,000.
Yes,
more or less.
Mr. Chairman, that is what I have been espousing in the last hearings. We're looking here at about 10,000 Filipino
Across
workers.
the different IPAs and PAGCORs.
Yes, Mayor. And as I had mentioned, we have suspended the issuance of new licenses, and that decision emanated from the the pronouncement of the President in the last SONA. So immediately I had suspended the processing of applications. Madami pa pong gustong mag-apply, substantiated by all the requirements, yung sinasabi ko sa inyong contracts earlier, and the ratio of the number of Filipinos versus foreign nationals. So I just want also to wait for the issuance of the executive order para malaman po nga kung makakasama ito sa maaaring ma-exempt. At tulad ng nabanggit ko kanina at inyong kinumpirma, malaki po siguro ring magiging impact dito yung pagbisita natin sa darating na Biyernes. Kasama ninyo at ang ilang miyembro ng Committee ng Games sa Senado para kayo po mismo ay makita ninyo kung ano nga ba talaga ang operation ng isang SCBPO na may lisensya sa CESA, sa AFAB, gayon din naman po na linilisensyahan ng PAGCOR.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to Administrator Katrina and Administrator Pangandaman for sharing with us your activities on the special class BPO/service providers. And again, this is something that the Committee on Games will be studying and undertaking to understand. And definitely what we, at least personally, and what this committee has been recommending since 2022 is to ban POGOs. And the definition of POGOs is entities that take bets outside of the Philippines. No? So mayroon siyang gambling activity. No? So we'll leave this topic of SCBPOs for now, and the Committee on Games is also doing its own due diligence on that. And we will one time or later on a later time, we will make our recommendation as to how to approach the SCBPOs. No? And considering that almost 10,000 Filipinos work in this type of business, one of our goals is to generate jobs for our countrymen. No? So we will go into the topic of online gaming, particularly e-games. And I also understand none of the IPAs have e-games, no? Even PEZA, tama po ba, attorney? Do you have BPOs? But are those BPOs are the ones that we know it, no? As we know it, the ones that answer telephone calls and do backroom operations. But do you have any e-gaming companies in PEZA?
None, Your Honor. In fact, their activities are varied and none of which is on gambling or gaming, Your Honor.
Okay. And I want to drill down on, and I thank PAGCOR again for providing us some information. And just to get our data correct, in 2023, tama po ba, the PAGCOR earned 22 billion from e-gaming?
Opo. Tama po kayo, Mr. Chairman. From electronic gaming in 2023, the highest ever, PAGCOR generated 22.5 billion more or less, Mr. Chairman. Yun po yung naging share na ng PAGCOR.
And this is in the form of regulatory fees.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. the gross gaming revenue counterpart of the said license fees is about 60 billion more or less.
How much is the what is the regulatory regime and the fees that are being imposed on e-gamings? What are the major
There
components?
are just two, basically, ang classifications po ay generally, as of today, Mr. Chairman, I just, as I had reported also in previous hearings, we have brought down the rates from a high of about 52.5 to 55. Today, we are down to 35% for brick and mortar licensees. I'm referring to those licensees that just have small offices, and 30% as of today for the integrated resorts, because they have invested in facilities, in personnel, and they have a bigger operation, Mr. Chairman.
Let me just get it correctly, Chairman. You 35% of
the GGR.
the GGR.
Yes, of
So
gross
Pagcor-
gaming revenue.
Pagcor takes 35% of the GGR
Yes.
from e-gaming companies.
From electronic gaming companies. So basically, there will be two classifications, Mr. Chairman. First being the brick and mortar, yung regular licenses po, 35% po yun. At yung mga land-based casinos naman, kasama po kasi sa kanilang operations ngayon yon, ay 30% sa pangkasalukuyan.
So yung mga, for example, the ones we see here in the Bay Area. Yung
The
mga
Entertainment City area,
Entertainment City area.
Pagcor charges them 30, ang license fees po nila ay 30%. 30% po ng kanilang GGR for electronic gaming. Hindi po kasama yung kanilang license fees for their land-based operations. No?
So these entities, itong mga nasa entertainment cities, they also have e-gaming.
Dito po sa Entertainment City, lahat po except one who does not have an operation for electronic gaming.
How is it connected to their regular physical gaming? Is there any connection between their e-gaming and their table games?
I believe, Mr. Chairman, the only connection there is that ang kanila pong mga customers ay paglabas sa property nila, nagkakaroon po ng pagkakataon or meron po silang mga normally loyalty cards or membership cards. Lahat po yun, halos yun na rin ang pinapatronize na internet gaming company na kung maglalaro man sila sa labas. So I think that's the only connection, no? But in terms of games that are being played inside the casino, there's no connection. Meron din po silang e-slots, no? So meaning they can play slot machines outside the casino premises. So basically, it is an extension, Mr. Chairman, of their land-based operations. That being the trend, not only in the Philippines today, but worldwide. If your committee would do further research, you would note that most of the big land-based operators based in US and Canada, I'm referring to, let's say, Las Vegas being the hub of gaming in the United States. Most, if not all, have online gaming operations. That much I can report to this committee and to everyone who's present here this morning or those who are listening to this hearing this morning. It also goes for those who are in Canada, those who are those who have operate land-based casinos in Europe. Ganun din po. Meron na po talagang online gaming component yung operations. And I can share with you, Mr. Chairman, that this is the trend. And I think this will be the future of gaming. And most jurisdictions, again, for further validation of your committee, most jurisdictions around the world are legalizing online gaming. Even the first world countries, I'm talking of Germany, Italy, well, of course, the US, United States, and Canada, they are already legitimizing, or they have laws now that authorize online gaming. Even Brazil, for example, is a very big market.
Where the service providers, I guess, come in, no? Because these countries are legalizing and liberalizing, and this is where the service providers come into play in terms of providing backroom operations.
Yun po, kaya ang sinasabi ko po rito, ang nakikita ko po sa SCBPO, Mr. Chairman, palaki po ito eh. Ito po sunrise industry. And that would mean the generation of more jobs for our kababayans here in the Philippines. More jobs for the Filipinos. Kasi maliwanag po rito, Mr. Chairman, this is a sunrise industry. Dahil ngayon pa lang po nag-aanunsyo ang iba't ibang jurisdictions around the world na linilegalize na po nila ang online gaming.
Chairman, I am looking at the data. Now, electronic gaming is, correct me if I'm wrong, about 30% of PAGCOR's revenue?
Mahigit na po.
More than 30%.
Po, for 2024, Mr. Chairman, I'm seeing about 35%.
About 35% of the total PAGCOR revenue.
The total pie.
And PAGCOR's revenue is how much? 60 billion?
Last year po 83.
83.
Ang nakikita ko po this year, Mr. Chairman, first time in the history of PAGCOR, papatong po, abot po tayo ng mga 100 billion pesos. So if we're talking of 35% of the pie, this online gaming segment or sector in the revenue stream of PAGCOR will contribute about 35 billion pesos. Ang gusto ko pong iulat sa inyo, Mr. Chairman, na from January to August of this year alone, close to 30 billion na po ang revenue ng PAGCOR being generated from the online gaming industry. So, ngayon pa lang unang 8 buwan ng taon yan. May 4 na buwan pa po tayo.
Chairman, I'm just, to complete the analysis, my initial thoughts, these e-gamings, because relatively they're easier to deploy because they're all electronic. Do you see any cannibalization coming from the land-based casinos? See, the land-based casinos, they need to build hotels, they need to build facilities, no? They need to put big investments to build all of those convention centers, make it family-friendly, no? As opposed to the e-gaming companies, they probably have an office and a lot of computers, but basically they also compete with these land-based casinos. Based on your analysis, is there cannibalization from land-based casinos going to electronic gaming activities?
My answer to your question, Mr. Chairman, is a yes. And I believe that is the main reason why these land-based casinos, especially the integrated resorts, who, as you had mentioned, are spending for infrastructure. The requirement of PAGCOR for one to be given an integrated resort license, for example, is they have to spend a minimum of $1 billion US, no? So definitely, Mr. Chairman, meron pong epekto sa kanila yan. Pero sabi ko nga po kanina, ang sa akin pong at sa PAGCOR team's analysis, diyan na po patungo talaga yung industriya ng gaming. At wala na pong recourse kung hindi sumabay na rin yung integrated resorts. Hindi po mawawala ang integrated